just lost momentum and stuff. So it got to a place where I needed to work. I needed to provide for myself. So there was this girl I was talking to at the time, and she worked at RBC, and she's like, "Yo, you should apply to RBC. You'll get a job." And I'm like, I know nothing about banking, nothing about finance, nothing about math. But I applied, and I got the job. I started working there, and I started getting. I started getting knowledge about money. I'm like, yo, this is dope. Like, I'm talking to people who they have plans on getting a house one day. They want to retire at this age. I'm able to give them that advice. And the crazy thing about it was, at this point in time, I don't have a diploma. I don't have a degree.
Crazy.
Till this day, don't have a degree. Don't have a diploma.
And we were talking about that earlier with the school stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we said it. Education is good. Like, it's good to get the knowledge, but
school's not about education.
So what is it about?
To certify you, to just get a piece of paper.
Just a piece of paper.
100%. 100%.
So
true education comes from experience. You gotta live life.
Why don't our parents or our older people know this? Like, why?
Everyone, stop right now. Go get your parents. Tell them.
Let's talk about it.
Disclaimer. Go to school.
We're not telling you guys to drop
right?
I think it. Yeah. Let's put. Listen to what we're not telling anybody to go drop out. That's not what we're saying. If that's what you get from this, then you're not listening. Education is key. Education is key, but. Like I think I told you, if I'm sitting down in your dentist chair, I would hope you went to school.
Yes,
exactly. And studied some.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like certain jobs obviously require that, like being a doctor, being a nurse,
but it's
dentist,
not
whatever.
One size fits all. Like, you gotta go to school to. No, Tesla, Bill Gates. So, we could go on a list of people we see today, and we go, oh yeah, they're very successful. I think it was even Elon Musk. It was like a Twitter war between him and someone else, and they're like, oh well, getting your master's and your PhD is so important. Like, how can you not? And Elon Musk said, well, guess what? I don't have a master's, but the people who work for me do.
Exactly.
So, you know what I mean?
I forget if I was talking to my boy E or David, but we're like, the C student is hiring all the A students. You know what I mean? It's like.
Facts.
It's like, yo, that's like not that.
But you should strive to be the A student that hires
the A student. You know what I mean? We're not telling you to drop out like you said, but like,
hey, my mom's gonna be like, hey.
What do you mean?
What the
did I raise you to be C? No, but
it has to be the top of your class. Like, listen.
No, we're not saying settle. We're not even saying settle. Whatever it is that you're doing, be the best at it. Go after it. But I think that it's really important, especially when we're talking about this whole school thing. First of all, understand why you're going to school. Don't waste your money going to school. Don't go to school just to
please your parents.
Because guess what? Your parents are going to need you to provide for them, right? And you won't be able to provide because guess what? You could tell them, Mom, I can't provide for you because you told me to go to Suku. And I went to Suku, and now I have debt, and I can't pay you because I'm paying my debt.
Right.
So I think
have a friend who's $40,000 in debt now.
Oh, that's nothing.
That's nothing.
That's when I worked at the bank.
Yeah.
Seeing like line of credits, student line of credits that were like 50, 60,000 was common. It was common.
Dental school is like 60 grand.
Are you serious?
That's like college dental, like. Then
and that's
when you talk like
the
medical school, that's like
medical
another
school,
80.
Yeah.
And my boy Doug Ford just took
Anybody
away the free OSAP too.
Hey, Dougie.
But yeah, man. So like we were saying, school's not the only way to get this stuff, but I do understand the importance of education. Knowledge is always key, right? So I guess after the bank, or is it at the bank where you found interest in it?
Absolutely, 100%. Just. See, I look at when I was working in RBC, gotta shut them out. I learned a lot. I really learned a lot. And I think just being there, being able to learn how, this is why I say everyone, it doesn't matter what job, you could be at McDonald's. Like, there's nothing wrong with working a job. Like, there are lots of, if everyone's in business for themselves, or if everyone's a finance, who are the clients? You know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with whatever role. If you're working a job, you hate it. That you should find some way to fix it. But if you're working in an environment where even if you hate it, you should be learning okay, what's management do? What's the manager's role?
Mm-hmm.
How do I become proficient in this role? What are some ways that I could like really bring something or like implement something? How can I make myself memorable in this role right now? And like I think when I was at RBC, I started, I became the, I'm talking like, yo, if I want to start my own bank, what do I need to do? And I started having these conversations that were, it's like, listen, you're getting paid to do this. We don't have time for all this craziness. And that's the problem I had with my job. But as far as learning about money and learning people's situations and stuff, like I definitely got that from working in the bank.
I guess you guys being in finance so long, like what's the main way that like people get into debt? Because when they first gave me a credit card, I'm like, oh, you guys are giving me like 3 stacks just to blow. Like it goes so fast. You don't even take it.
When did you get your first credit card?
I just got my first credit, maybe like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, because I was scared to get into debt.
Right.
I was scared of bad credit, so I just didn't want to put it on my head.
Why were you scared?
Well, maybe because my dad is just like, yo, relax. Like,
don't get. No, but that's good. But that's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reality, and correct me if I'm wrong, most people get their first credit card usually either in college or high school, and they're targeted, right? Because they're think about it.
So they do it on purpose,
for sure. Because there's a cycle, right?
Well, why?
What you mean? Why?
What do you mean?
I mean, like
it's a business.
No, wait, hold on. Why what?
Like, why are you so evil? Like, why are you trying to get me into debt? You know what I mean? Like, I understand it's a business, but it's just like
it's a business.
Damn, like for good or bad, it's a business. That's all it is.
Okay, so once you're into debt, how do you get out of debt?
Well, I think it's very important to understand why even people get into debt. One, people don't know what they're getting themselves into.
I do.
Right.
Yeah.
So it starts there.
Uh-huh.
So if you don't know why you're getting a credit card, but first of all, credit cards, it's not your money. Mm-hmm. So when they call you and they say that, oh,
it's mine.
Hey, listen, son, we just wanted to congratulate you for being with the bank for 3 years.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been amazing. Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, by the way, just based off the relationship we have with you, you've been pre-approved for a credit card.
He was one of them. Hey, he was one of them. Dude, if his voice sounds familiar, at him on Instagram because you're in debt because he gave you that phone call.
Listen,
he's just exposing the game, man.
So you get hyped like what? Oh my god,
an extra $1,000, this and that. Yeah,
it's not $1,000 for you to go blow. It's $1,000 credit card for them. Yeah, and by the way, like it's pre-approved. We don't have to do a credit check. Mm-hmm. It's a 1% interest for a year. Oh yeah. Oh man, I've been watching this. By the way, just like you said, you've been targeted. You have been targeted. Whenever you log into your bank account, you heard of cookies, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they basically monitor everything that it is that you do.
Are you serious?
If you're on Fashion Nova, if you're on ESPN.
Wait a second. I know. Let me say something because the other day I was literally talking to someone. Yeah. I was talking to Tiffany. Shout out to Tiffany. Hey girl. Mm-hmm. I was talking to Tiffany about skiing, right? And then all of a sudden, all the ads on my computer were for ski stuff everywhere. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So then I'm I'm a little weird. So I'm like, oh. So I start talking about chicken because I love chicken. Guys, I'm not joking. I go on Instagram and I see a Swiss Chalet ad. Then I see Wild Wings and I'm like, what is this? Listen, big brother, can you chill?
It's not coincidence.
It's not a coincidence.
There's an agenda. I mean, how many times? When's the last time? When did you get that phone?
I just got this one.
Okay.
My other phone broke.
So you just got, okay, perfect.
Maybe like October.
So when you turned it on, you had to like agree to a whole bunch of stuff.
I don't even read it.
Okay.
Right.
Does anybody?
Okay. Same thing with a credit card.
Okay. So they could be telling you, oh, every now and then, your phone will, it'll inject something into your blood. You have no clue. You have no clue.
It's
you
true.
just like, I agree.
It is true. Just because you want to get straight to the point,
And especially since they got the camera thing now, right? If you try to say, well, I didn't do it, guess what they could do? Go back and then look at the reports.
Way on earth, fam.
What do you mean? So when I'm clicking agree, they're looking at.
Isn't this illegal?
It's not illegal.
It's what?
Face recognition. Yo.
A BlackBerry?
Face recognition.
Yeah.
Like how do you think that whole thing works?
Because they want to know your. You guys are
think it's really to make it user friendly for. Let's not even talk about.
I'm gonna talk about tech.
Listen. How do people get out of debt?
Right.
You have to understand that there is an agenda. So like, first of all, the agenda is not to make you financially independent.
Right.
I think it's also important people understand that. I don't really agree with the cut your coat according to your size. I believe, hey, listen, raise your income to your lifestyle. So a lot of times people think that, oh, this is the answer. I'm making only this much, but my debts is like this much. I need to find some way to bring the debt down here. No, you need to learn how to bring the income up here.
Level up.
Right? Like that's superior.
I don't think a lot of people think like that. You even just changed my mind because
say it again.
Like, yeah, say it again, please. So like,
look in the camera.
Listen, if you have debt that's like $5,000, okay, $5,000, you have to understand. To a person making 10 grand a month, $5,000 is nothing. If you're making $2,000 a month and your expenses are $1,800, that's a problem.
Exactly.
So I mean, we have to understand that. Okay, you didn't know. Well, now you know. Let's fix it. But while we're fixing that, right, we need to get more income. One of the biggest, I shouldn't say pet peeve, but one of the biggest things that I see, especially within the Black community, because hey, listen, I love my Black people, but at the same time, we gotta do better. One of the biggest thing I see is, I have all this debt. That's my primary focus. I just need to get rid of that debt. No, because guess what? If we even took care of the debt, guess what would happen within the next 6 months?
Jeez, get right back into
it. Get right back.
If you don't have that understanding, if you don't understand how to raise your income, and you don't understand that is superior to that, you're back in debt again in the next 6 months.